Probably because of me. There we go. Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Welcome to
Still
Automate
no?
All the
Oh,
Things. You sound great. We've got Paul, we've got Colleen in the chat. Welcome. Jacob, you are the first guest to Automate All the Things. This is the first time I'm doing it with someone else. So I am as stressed as you
awesome.
are. We've got Penny in the chat. Welcome, Penny. Uh, so so yeah, I'm excited. This is new to me. This is new to you as well. This is new to everyone. So I will let you introduce yourself, and then we're gonna have a quick chat, and I'll introduce kind of today's topic. So Jacob, tell the folks who you are and a little bit about Autocode.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on Automate All the Things, Aaron. Really, like you said, excited to be here. So I'm Jacob. I'm the co-founder of Autocode. We're an API development platform with a built-in online code editor and built-in API autocomplete. And we're great for integrating third-party ecosystems, as you'll see on the stream. And we'll be walking through an example with Airtable, Slack, and Autocode, of course.
Awesome. So I kind of think of Autocode as Airtable scripting, kind of editor, but for every application out there. So I've been having a lot of fun, kind of writing code in Airtable scripting. And what's great about it is I don't have to like worry about data. I don't have to worry about authentication. I just write the code that like does the thing that's important to me. And then I don't kind of worry
Exactly.
about the rest. Is that like a good example of like Autocode is that, but for Slack, Airtable, and Stripe? Is that a good way to think of Autocode?
Yeah, that's definitely one way to think about it. And I think one thing that makes us unique is the fact that you do have all that um, kind of infinite possibility and infinite control over what your integration is doing, because you have this code in front of you and you can modify it. We support things like NPM packages. We actually started as a very, very developer-focused company. So we built kind of the developer platform and that layer of things, and have kind of moved towards making it simpler for the builders and makers out there. Um, so yeah, I think that's definitely a fair assessment, Aaron. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know that a lot of the folks tuning in are not developers. I am not a developer. I mainly kind of guess my way through this. So I'm curious, like when you think about this, who is this tool for, right? Is it for folks kind of, using other no code tools and thinking of, oh, okay, I want more power. How do you think about or is it developers trying to also not do all that parts around authentication? So how do you think about who Autocode is for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the developer side is definitely a key part of it. So people who aren't afraid of jumping into code and like building really complex applications. We do also, with our API autocomplete, though, get this like really good sweet spot of people who are on like between developer and maker. I would say maybe they aren't afraid to like jump in and write maybe an if statement, or write a for loop, and they understand what that concept is. Um, and we also, for that kind of cohort, have this concept of apps, which are ready-made solutions that you can just plug in a Airtable base or your Slack workspace, get started, have something working right away, that you can then go and make maybe small modifications to later.
Right.
So for the makers out there, that's a really powerful tool as well.
Yeah. So for
So I
folks
think,
joining,
yeah, sweet spot for us is maybe like a more technical maker, but yes.
all right. Well, let me
Go
know in the
ahead, sorry.
chat how technical. So Paul, definitely not technical. I imagine we were talking about developers at that point. I consider myself like 10% technical in that I can read the API documentation. I can kind of understand it. But I think Autocode, having played around with it before, is just that little bit layer on plus. So what I can do is kind of read the documentation, not necessarily understand everything about it, but at least those core parts, and at least build, part of an application. And just for folks joining, we're actually going to be rebuilding something that Jacob has already built. So if you type in, exclamation point base, there's a link to both the base that we're building and to everything that we're going to do today. So this is actually going to be kind of behind the scenes, but you can go ahead and just take that and build it as an application and then build on top of it. And there's a bunch of other examples. So what I thought would be really interesting is we know what the endpoint is, and we'll start there on the stream. We'll rebuild it from scratch just to give you an idea of what we can do. And then I'll let everyone kind of go wild and build things and then come back and tell us, and show off what they've built. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Jacob,
I definitely like to stress again that the autocomplete really, one of our, the person who introduced us actually, a guy named No Code Jack. His name's actually just Jack, but on Twitter, he's No Code Jack. So shout outs to him, but despite being, our favorite no coder, he's been able to jump in and start building with it just based on the autocomplete. And it's been kind of a cool experience watching him go through. So definitely don't be intimidated by the fact that you have this code. The autocomplete's your friend, and it gives you that kind of flexibility there.
Yeah. First name No Code, last name Jack. Who knew? His parents knew from day one.
Oh yeah, sounds like he
was going to be.
Sounds like a Drake song or something.
All right. Okay, cool. So let's jump in. So I think, Paul, there's a question around, what can Autocode be used for? And I think as we go along, you'll kind of get an idea. So my understanding of Autocode just right off the bat is that there are some like deep integrations with popular applications like Slack, Airtable, Stripe, but nothing stops you from just using API period and having fun with it. And we'll kind of talk about that throughout. So with that, let me jump into... So I'm going to share my screen so you can see things. 1 second here. Nope, I do not.
Yep.
You should see my screen. There you go.
Yep.
And now folks should be able to see you. I really got to get better at this streaming thing so I can set this up without this little transition sketchy part. There we go. All right. So I want to start with just talking about what the use case is today. So we're going to put ourselves in the shoes of a support team that manages tickets, out of Airtable. And so these tickets come to us in Slack. Hey, Victoria, good to see you. Sorry, Victoria came in. Victoria gets a shout out. Everyone gets a shout out.
Of course, yeah. Victoria.
Yeah. Victoria is actually a huge fan of yours. She had used Standard Library a couple years back, so she probably has very specific questions. Excited to hear them.
Awesome. Yeah, well, welcome back, Victoria. I think we may have met in the channel, maybe. I was actually on your stream last week, and I saw you guys go through kind of a rather complex. What was it? It was you were shifting weekly to monthly to yearly. Some of the compliance record, just something like that. It got quite in depth. That's cool.
Hi.
Sometimes Code Jack, love it.
I think Autocode changed his name. Yeah. He went from No Code to Sometimes Code, which is awesome. All right.
That's amazing. Jack, we actually just we were just talking about you a minute ago about the one who kind of put this all together. So thank you for that. Welcome to the stream.
So if we can't answer questions, Jack's gonna be able to do it. So Jack's just bug Jack for any questions. All right. So this use case, we've got tickets, is gonna be very simple. So whenever someone comes into our Slack channel and says like, "Hi, I need help," what the team does today is like we copy paste this and put it into our queue, and we're kind of like, okay, this comes from Aron. He says he needs help. It's currently unresolved. And then we kind of migrate through here and then handle tickets one by one. So the origination point, the starting point for all of our tickets is always Slack. It's a specific Slack channel, right? And what we'd like is just a way to just automate that first step. So whenever someone sends a message in Slack, we create a ticket in Airtable. And then as a bonus, whenever we change the status of a ticket, right, to say that we're working on it, we're going to go back to that Slack and update in the thread to say like, hey, like your ticket is now in progress or resolved. And I think it's like the starting point for folks who are wondering like, what would I use this for? It's really just a starting point for whenever you want to kind of play around with Slack, right? So maybe you want to create something more complex and managing tickets, managing inventory, managing whatever within Slack. But more broadly, what we want to show off is Autocode and its flexibility. Does that make sense, Jacob? Anything you want to add to the kind of workflow that we're building before we jump into Autocode?
No, I think that was a great start. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so Airtable should be relatively straightforward for folks who have joined the stream before. Let's go into Autocode. So I'm here, Jacob, in my what feels like my home screen. Where do we start?
Yeah, this is your main management dashboard for sure. So yeah, the flow here would be you log in and then hit new app project in the top right corner there. And that'll open a kind of wizard where you can name your project. So yeah, whatever you'd like to name it.
I don't have hyphens on my keyboard. I still haven't fixed that. So it's just going to be AATT Slackbot. There we go.
Yeah, I saw you showed off last. You want to show it off now? The kind of Airtable version of the
No. People have seen my keyboard. People have seen my keyboard. Let's go into
okay,
Autocode.
gotcha.
So save and continue?
For sure. So anyway, we've got this wizard. Yep. Save and continue, just like that. And that'll set you up with a new Autocode project. And it'll give you kind of like a selection of events that, maybe might be a good starting point. But because we're going to be, for the first part of the app, building something that responds to a Slack message channels event. In other words, when a message from a specific Slack channel comes in, we're going to hit something else down there. Choose another event after starting. Wonderful.
Okay.
So there we go. Cool.
What do I look at? What am I looking at?
So the first thing we're going to want to do is, yes, this is the kind of main Autocode editor. This is where all the good things happen. In the left part of the screen, you have a kind of overview of what your project's files look like. So a few things, just like kind of meta fields, like information about, like to us, what your package is. And then you have your code editor in the middle, which is going to be basically where the code goes. But if you look up top, right above the code editor, you'll see a click to select event. That'll trigger this endpoint. So click that. And we actually have a selection of triggers here, including Slack. So you can look through the list. You can also start typing SLACK, just Slack. Or just go ahead and click on it. And you're going to go to message.channels.
Okay, so
you can also just start typing message and you'll see it.
So I see here. So I just want to so essentially, when I think of writing code in the past, there was no concept of like a piece of code that gets run based on something happening elsewhere that you manage for me, right? So essentially what we're kind of doing here is essentially saying, okay, what is going to trigger this piece of code and can we package it in a way that I don't need to worry about it? So right now, our first step is to say, when a message enters our support channel, we want to do something. So this endpoint, this trigger, we're just saying that is what we want to happen. And for folks who are like, intimidated by the code, is that right now Autocode is going to write all that code for us. So when I write channels, it says like, okay, well, here's everything that you need to do, kind of run code when a new message enters. Is that kind of right? Am I saying that right, Jacob?
Yes, exactly. Yep. And Autocode actually handles all of the validation events as well. So you know that your endpoint can only be triggered from Slack and only by the specific event from Slack. So we handle all the kind of things you need set up there as well. So as Aaron mentioned, we auto generate. Go ahead.
So I'm just wondering, before we continue, any other kind of popular Slack triggers for folks who maybe aren't as familiar with the Slack API that you would recommend except channels?
Yeah, for sure. The big one that I probably use most often is command. So if you ever use Slack, you might be familiar with the concept of a slash command. And that can be used to trigger like a workflow when, for example, someone types like slash. So for the for reasons I'll get to a bit later, you have to type /cmd and then some command name, and that'll trigger like some an endpoint much like this, whatever you write. And it's really nice for kind of like administration tasks in Stripe, for example, or you can do things like open dialogues in Slack for more to gather more information. Yeah, more complex workflows as well. So command's a big one. And yeah, another popular one, member join channel. Will fire when someone joins a channel. Self-explanatory, but can be nice for like kind of welcome tasks. Yeah, those are probably two of the bigger ones.
Okay. Okay. So right now, this is saying that like all the code that I put between here is going to run when there's a message to a channel. So where do we kind of go from here? What, like, I don't know what code. What I want to do is respond to this user in thread to say like, hey, got your message, thumbs up. So how do I, for someone,
absolutely.
How do I go do that?
Sure. So Dolby, the stuff in the gray is actually just pre-generated, we call them enrichments. And what those do, actually let's start with the payload. So hit the edit test event payload in the top of your editor there. Edit test event, yep, to the right. So this payload is what Slack will actually send to you. And you might notice that it's a bunch of kind of like intimidating looking strings. You have like C000. It's just internal Slack IDs, which aren't terribly useful for maybe crafting messages in response to an event. So if you exit now, by the way, you can modify this if you want to test with specific values, but that's a little bit more advanced. This enrichments, this result of Slack.channel await conversations info is just retrieving some additional information that we'll use in just a moment about the incoming message and the channel that the message came in. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
So
so anyway, the first thing go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm just curious, like so how do I actually like write the code that I need to
yeah, for sure. Respond to the message that someone posted. So what you're going to do is just start typing await, and what await means, await lib dot, and you'll see our autocomplete pop up. And this autocomplete has APIs from a number of different sources, and we're interested in Slack because we're going to want to respond to the Slack message with another Slack reply. So you can get Slack, and we're going to send a message. So you can just type send, or I think, or just go through the list. But if you type message or send, I think it should, it'll pop up there. Send a message from you brought to a channel. And if you click that or press the enter key, you'll see a little form pop up. And this is maybe kind of what you've seen in some other contexts, but it contains basically the API documentation put right in front of you. So it's perfectly accessible. You can see exactly what parameters the API takes, and like whether it's a string or like an array. And we can do all the configuration from this editor here.
Cool.
That's kind of the magic of the autocomplete and how you can how easy you make generating code and how valuable that can be.
So if I'm understanding this right, I'm going to start writing things here, and then it's going to like actually create the call that I would have to hack together, and it's going to like display it here. So if I start writing channel, which is support, right, like this, right, that's always going to be the channel. So support, body of the message.
Sure.
We're on it.
And this is going to be the message that you send. Yep, exactly. And one additional thing, because we're making this message in reply to the original message, we're going to need to, and this gets a little bit specific into Slack, but we're going to need to specify the thread timestamp, and that's thread TS right below blocks there. Autocode has, if you type $sign and a curly brace, it's a little bit JavaScript-y, but that opens up the variable inserter. So you can actually just type TS there, and it'll kind of go through that. Search the dropdown, and we want the message timestamp. So that first one, and that's actually it for this call.
So I just want to reiterate this. So there's actually an explanation underneath that says, provide the timestamp of the message so we can find which message we need to reply in thread to. So I think this is actually one of the points of Autocode that like, this is something that me personally reading the documentation, I would probably glaze over or miss and not truly understand. And so what I did there is, hashtag curly brackets is just a way of saying put the value from this other variable into this kind of variable right here. So it's going to go ahead and take
Exactly.
the timestamp from the message and input it. And I think that's actually one of the things that makes Autocode really cool is that it manages that for you. However, you need to know at least that part. So these are one of the stumbling blocks. So we've solved for that. If we didn't have this, it would just respond in the channel. So here it's actually going to go find the right message.
Yeah. Yep. And I'll show you what that looks like without the timestamp for testing.
Yep.
Because so Autocode has this has a front end kind of testing loop that's pretty useful as well. You may have noticed in the test event payload that we opened earlier, there were a lot of things like C0000, and those are internal Slack IDs, but they're not really. They're just essentially like mocked out data or test data that you can kind of test your application logic with before you deploy, and that really speeds up the iteration process. And to show you what that looks like, let's close this, and yeah, you can save. And we're gonna comment out that just put two, like a / in front of thread TS. The reason I'm commenting out is because we're using test data, but there's no we're replying to a message, so there's no message to reply to in the test data. So we can try hitting run and just see what happens. And this will kind of simulate a run from the actual Slack workspace we're installing the app into. And we're going to run into a problem pretty quickly because we haven't linked our Slack workspace yet. So if you're a sharp-eyed person, you may have noticed the bouncing red button, and we'll click that. And Autocode has a linking and identity management wizard as well, and that's part of the nice developer experience / builder experience that we provide here. And it'll say you need the Slack account. Please link a resource, and in this case, a resource is going to be Aron's AATT Slack. You can choose that. He's already linked it. If you hit link new, it'll go through an OAuth flow with your current Slack workspace, and you can select Slack workspace and link that and install the Autocode app there. But Aaron's already done that.
So I'm going to avoid.
Cool. So if we hit run again.
I've shown my API key a little too often on the stream, so I try now to avoid that at all costs. So let's run that test again.
Cool. And you'll notice the console.log statements are appearing in the result window there as well. So
there we go.
That's kind of
boom,
nice little piece for debugging as well.
Oh, you can't see the bottom of the UI.
Yeah,
let me actually put that up a little bit.
Oh,
Thanks for the note.
That's right.
So let me know, folks, if you can see the bottom now. I changed my stream a little bit. We're doing things live. There we go. You should be able to see it now. Let me know if that's the case. Thanks, Keith.
Cool.
Thanks for letting me know.
So as you can see,
Whoops.
Thank you, Keith.
All right, let me make that just a tiny bit
wonderful.
smaller.
So you can see that. Sorry.
There we go. Okay, so that we should be good now. Let me know, Keith, if that looks good. Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, cool. So it worked. We actually saw the message. I mean, that's awesome. Just that, I think we could end the stream here, and I'd be already very excited. So anything we go from here is like a win. Where do we go from here?
Wonderful. So what happened here was we actually made an API call, actually all three of those API calls to Slack's API, and used essentially test data and made a real API call to this hashtag to send a message to the hashtag support channel.
Right.
We want to send the message and reply though, so we're going to uncomment the thread TS that we previously commented. So just removing the two slashes there. We'll do that. And yes, next. Why don't we let's try saving this using the save endpoint button, and that'll save our code. Awesome. And we'll deploy it, and we can try actually writing a message in our Slack channel and seeing the result there. So give it a few seconds. Go through a little.
So I know that just for a moment here, I know Jacob's video is lagging. Can you guys hear him okay? I want to make sure that the audio is good. So let me know in the
Oh
chat
no,
if you can hear
still
him.
lagging.
But video is fine. Don't worry about it. I don't mind the video as much as I would worry. Folks can hear you, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Cool.
Good. Good. Okay. Wonderful. So yeah, let's go back to our Slack workspace and actually see philosophy in action, if I'm as it were. So you can type anything there. Hi, I need help. Yep, I have a problem. Perfect. And yep, we should see. And
whoa,
when you look here, a little reply pop up automatically. Yep. And it'll say we're on it. And now your customers you can boast a 5-second response time, first response time, and your customers will be happy. And yeah, well, we have a yeah.
This is I think, you know, I don't know. I get really excited because the idea of like everything that this opens up, right? So, you know, you could imagine like tagging someone or just doing a lot of like cool things from just this part, right? Just working within Slack. And actually, I think, you know, threading is something that I've never seen available without writing code, right? So I've never seen, you know, these kind of low code applications allow you to thread specific conversations. I imagine in part because it's reliant on that, like, you know, a specific timestamp, which they can't necessarily manage. So for me, this is really exciting. So I'm like really excited to kind of build on top and build a workflow on top of it with starting from Slack. So I think the next step is, okay, well, we actually need to send this message to our Airtable base to say that like,
Yep.
okay, we've had this new message. And I imagine that's like right kind of here, right? So like we just continue, it's sequential. Is that right?
You could do it that way. I think the better way to be actually to send the message to Airtable first, or sorry, send the support ticket to Airtable first, then confirm afterwards that the issue is tracked. Because then, if you know for some reason some API call failed, you know you wouldn't say we're on it when really it's not being tracked. So I would actually do right above that lib slash call. Oh, wait a bit.
Yep,
right
okay,
there.
that makes sense.
So yeah. Exactly. So we've gone through kind of what Slack call would look like, and Airtable is actually very similar. So you start typing Airtable, you can hit enter or hit or click it. Either one will work. And we're going to insert a record into the base. So you can just start typing insert, or just go through the list either way.
So it just
Awesome.
went to it. So these are things I understand.
Cool.
So I think, Jacob, I'd love to give it a try. I'd love to like give it a try, and you can tell me what I'm doing wrong. Would that make sense? Because I'm like, I feel empowered.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay.
So base ID. I already have a linked Airtable, I think. I do. Boom. Okay, and then so let's link this one. That's good. Finish linking. Table ID I want. So this is at the base level, right? So I actually need, this is not the same base I'm working with.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's fine. We're learning.
No, we're going to have to. Oh,
yeah, we can.
Actually, I think you can, you don't have to show your, it won't show your key. That's right.
Yeah.
I was afraid you'd have to show your Airtable app key again. Oh, I think you might want to, I'm not sure that's the right base, Aaron.
Oh, okay, I picked the wrong base. Whoops. Okay. Let's do it one more time.
So you'll want...
link new resource.
There you go. Yes.
And so this is... Okay, this is my personal Airtable. Account level. So this is the one I want?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, that's right. So I think you put your API key in earlier, and we just reused that link to
cool
to your account to like pick. You can pick the base here. I'm not sure what you've named it, but it looks like live stream number 24.
Live stream 24.
If I'm looking at your top bar.
There we go.
Cool. Yep. So that should be the one.
All right, we're picking
There we
this
go.
one.
Let's try that now.
Boom. Table conversations. That's the one we have right here. Boom. Okay, and so then the key. Okay, so let's kind of look at this. So let me go to all tickets. These are things I understand, right? So username, that's a single line text username, and the value is going to come from step 1, right? So to do that, it's kind of like similar to what we do in, Zapier or whatever, but we're just kind of doing $, open squiggly bracket, result dot Slack, and I want the user. Is it name? There's name here, I remember. No, it's user.
Yeah, that's right.
User dot name. Okay. Boom.
That'll do it.
Boom. Okay. What's next? Can't stop me now. The text. Okay. So we want text. And then squiggly bracket. Slack dot message, I guess? No.
Oh, actually, one thing that's really nice is you can just start typing text instead of Slack dot there, and it should actually, with the curly bracket. Yep. Yeah, and it'll we do some kind of intelligent auto completion there.
Boom. Okay. Next, status. That one's gonna be always unresolved.
Yep.
I'm just gonna make sure I'm running that right. This is the only part of the stream where I can do something. It's back to you. Okay, that seems right.
Oh no, you're doing great.
We did want to. So I know I'm hiding some fields, and this is like metadata. So user ID, channel ID, Slack message. Do we want to go ahead and add those as well? Just because I know that they're going to be useful in the future.
Yes. That's right. We're going to need to add 2 more fields here, I think. One of them is going to be, again, because we are replying to these messages with a thread, we need to actually store the initial messages timestamp. So that's going to be called, I think you've got it there as Slack
message TS.
Might be hidden. Yeah, Slack message TS, which is short for timestamp. Yeah.
And then I want boom TS. TS or event TS?
Perfect.
Boom.
Just TS for that. That's within the message itself. And then, I think you may need to capitalize the T in your
good
form
catch.
editor there. Yeah.
Good catch. Boom. Next, do we
worries,
need all 3 of these or just the channel?
And the other thing so I think we'll be okay, actually, with just, these are in the complete app. We store all this information because we do some nice formatting of, the reply messages and things like that. But I think just to streamline this along, we only need really one more thing for the next part of the demo. And that's going to be the bot replied at field. So to give you zoom out to 10,000 feet for a moment, the next part of the app, after we've done this initial setup with the replying to a message with like an immediate message, we're going to be like basically checking for status changes within Airtable. So if someone goes in to that Kanban view and takes it from unresolved to in progress, our bot is actually going to send an update to the thread and it's like, hey, someone's like shifted your issue to in progress instead of just unresolved. So to do that, we do some things with kind of Airtable's formula features and computed fields. But the basic idea here is we're going to just put in do the like a date here. That's a little bit in the future, and it might be a little bit mysterious as to why, but for now, but I promise you it'll make sense in a moment. So we'll put the $ curly bracket. And so we've used this historically to do kind of variable interpretation, but you can actually just put directly put JavaScript in here as well. So we're going to put new date, create a new date. And as an argument, we're going to do something a little bit interesting and do parentheses. Within the parentheses, we're going to create a new date from another new date. Yeah.
Oh, new date again?
So new date again.
My God.
Yeah. And with that second new date, we're going to do get time. Dot get time. Yep, just like that. And that's a function. So parentheses there. And we're going to add 10,000 to that for 10 seconds. And you can see on the right hand of Aron's screen the JavaScript that's getting generated. Cool. So another parentheses on top of that to close the first one off. And then, the ending curly brace there. Cool. So what we're going to store here is essentially like a time 10 seconds in the future. And that's going to help our Airtable computed field logic in just a moment. So yeah, and that's actually, those are the 5 fields we need. And if we hit finish configuring, we'll be able to try it out.
So I just want to call out, this is why this is like the scary part of writing code, right? Because like I do understand it now that you've explained it to me before the stream, but terrifying for new developers. So Victoria gets this because she's great. So I know that it's okay. I think this is what I just want to kind of say. This is what's great about like folks building applications, where as a proper developer, this is something that may feel obvious to folks. For us, less, and that's why kind of referring to an existing app is there's much less surface area for me to make errors in, and I'm okay with figuring this out versus figuring out everything about authentication and things like that. So, but for still, if you're not a developer, this feels maybe a little bit intimidating. But again, like luckily we have built out applications we can start from.
For sure. And I kind of like to think of it like, there's a very, easy, I think you found the first 4 steps here relatively straightforward. So I kind of think of it as like kind of a shallow end, and then like, that's pretty easy to get into even if you don't know how to code. But then, it can, if you want to, it can get pretty much as deep. It's just code, right? So it can get pretty much as deep as you want. There are no limits on like kind of the complexity of app, or like the level of detail and like kind of what you can do with the endpoints like this. So I think you get kind of you get the kind of easy shallow end, and then like you can go as deep as you want or just stay in the shallow end, and you can have all that flexibility. But now we've done this anyway. If you run, this should insert. Jump the gun. Love it.
Oh, invalid thread TS.
Okay. So that's okay. That's just that's the Slack call, because again, as I mentioned earlier, when you run a test event, there's no message to respond to.
Right.
But if we check our Airtable base, we should see a record there.
Oh yeah, right here.
So
live long and prosper.
It got through the first couple. Yeah. Yep. That's just like some sample text with an example user. That's just directly from the enrichment data that we have early on.
Oh, cool. So does that mean if we deploy and test this out, it's going to reply in thread?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Cool.
So we can try that, and we'll also see that. Oh, you'd have to hit save first. I'm sorry.
It's like 1990 again. I have to save.
And, yeah.
I'm messing with you.
There we go. Cool. No, I think it's something. Yeah, it's a fair point.
So while this is compiling, I'd love to know, like in the chat, when's the last time I remember my parents would still like save Google Docs, right? I haven't saved anything in forever, but okay, let's test this out.
Yes, cool.
Okay. I don't know if that's who's with an apostrophe or SE. Oh, okay. That worked. We knew that worked.
There, but that's okay.
That's okay. You're gonna. Yep. There we go.
And we've got this nice little record here. If you go to the Kanban view, it'll be pretty clear how how nice that can be.
Right here. That's awesome. Okay, let's actually adjust this a little bit.
Yep.
Let's get like status created at. I think that's cool. Okay. All right. So now we're doing two things where a new message comes in, we send it to Airtable, we create that. I think that in and of itself is super powerful, I'll be honest, just because like I imagine all the flexibility and all the cool things you can do from there. But then we respond in thread to say like, hey, we're on it. And I think as a final step here, because this is already kind of giving me, and I hope folks in the chat, folks joining, that like, it's you want to kind of explore what's possible in this API now. You want to kind of think of what are all those things we could do in Airtable, Slack together, or whatever, all the other APIs that we now have access to. But I think as a next step here, what we want to do is like, okay, well, let's say I want to move and say, okay, I need help getting Zoom. This is now moved to resolved. We want to go back to Slack, find that message and say that, you know, hey, we've updated the status of this.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the next part of the like the other end of the feedback loop, I guess, is like kind of giving updates when something changes. So we're actually good with this handler, and we're going to create another endpoint. So what you would do is you'd go, you can left click or right click in the sidebar, or there's a plus button up at the top as well. That'll also work. And then you can hit new API endpoint.
Anywhere, just functions, new API endpoint.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep, new API endpoint, just like that. We default to just responding to a generic like HTTP request, but we're also going to want to change this to a different event. And the way we've Autocode actually comes built in with a scheduler. And if you're not familiar with the scheduler, it's essentially it'll trigger a endpoint that responds to the event with like say every minute. We have different intervals: every minute, every hour, every once a day, once a week, and once a month. And they have different options for that. So you could do like every month on the second Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna do once a minute because we want to. We're essentially like polling the Airtable base for changes, and that's kind of where the if you remember that like bit of date logic that I added, that we added rather. I suggested Aron add anyway.
Yeah, so
comes into play.
Let me walk through here. So essentially, this is the one thing I feel kind of not smart enough, but knowledgeable enough to talk about is that essentially what we kind of inputted is bot replied at, right? So this is saying, we received this message and then we replied at this time. And then we have this status change that, which is a last modified time on the status. So let's say I would move this into in progress. We'll see that updates and is now greater than bot replied at. So we know that, since the last time we've replied to that user, we now have changed the status. So we know that we need to go back to the user and say that we want to, we need to tell them that that's the case. So we can even create kind of a yes, no, need status to change reply, customize field type that says if status is greater than bot replied at, go no. That way we know these are the 5 records we need to tell the user, find the thread, tell the user that, their status has changed. So all we actually need to do is find all records that have this greater than this, or that this is equal to yes, which is the same thing, and find the thread and say, hey, this is now in progress or unresolved or whatever.
Yep.
This is actually like kind of, if you're used to Airtable scripting, it's kind of like a select records async that maybe is tied to a view. So we can create a kind of needs reply view. and we're just filtering down to where status change reply, contains yes. So very similar, but we're going to do that writing within Autocode. Was that a good explanation, Jacob?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I know it's a bit off script, but that view is actually a great idea. You can actually pass view IDs into Autocode, the query endpoints we're going to use. So maybe we can, maybe it's we can just go with the initial example, but
Sure.
that would be another option.
Cool.
So if you pass in the view ID, it would just it should just return everything that's specifically in that view in the order the view contains. So you can do things like complex sorting or restrictions like that.
Cool.
So anyway, yes, we're going to first get a list of the Airtable records that we haven't that have changed their status and that we haven't notified the user about yet. So that's going to be select. Yeah, you go through, but
so we want to find records by formula.
I think select records by querying a base would be the better one.
Say that again.
There. Select. Select.
Okay, there we go.
Excuse me.
Okay, cool.
Because we're going to select them. Yep, and then that'll have the same. I think you could use the find one, but this just has it matches the kind of formula we've been using with the other ones. And we already it'll auto-populate the base ID to the default one that we've linked, which is kind of nice, and we get the table. And do we want to try the?
Yeah.
Do you want to try the view, or do you want to? Let's.
No, I want to.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
No. Let's just do. We have a record. I think it's much easier to go with the record. So we just need when neatest change reply is equal to yes. Is that a caps?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, I could see the view. There we go.
Wonderful. So that will, yeah. But that's actually that'll return everything where the change reply is yes, and we're good if you hit finish configuring there.
Yeah. So I do want to address a Colleen mentioned in the chat. Why are you using time in this formula? What about last modified by field? So I just want to address that really quickly. So this bot replied at is the last time in the timeline that we've let the user know of their status. So what I mean by that is when you come in, the first time you leave a message, we say we're on it. So imagine that's like 5 p.m., right? And then I go into Airtable at 5:10, I update the status to say in progress. What that says, it's going to say, okay, it's going to update the status change at to 5:10. And the bot replied at will stay at 5 because that's the last time we replied to them. And this is going to say, okay, well, we haven't replied to them since we've changed the status. And therefore, go ahead and we should do this. What we're going to go ahead and do is when we run this process, we're actually going to go ahead and update this to say, okay, we've now replied. And this will be greater than this right here. So this is going to go back to no. So it's just kind of like a workaround to let us know which timing, understanding the timing of conversations in Slack, and then making sure that that is reflected in Airtable.
Exactly. Yes.
Cool.
Cool. So we do need to do something with the results of that query. So for those of you who maybe know a little bit about code, we're going to use what's called a variable. And we can set that to the response of that API call we just made. And I think this is the first time I don't think we used one in any of the last ones. So right in front of the await. Yes, exactly. We're going to want to do some operations on the result of this API call.
Cool.
Cool. And the basic idea we want to do next, for every single one of those records, where we do need to make a status change, according to that computed field, we're going to send a message to Slack. So we're going to a for loop, and that auto-completed nicely. But instead of the 10, that's just kind of an example. We're going to Oh, you can just just modify the 10 directly there.
No, I want to show how cool this is.
Below.
So I know it's a little low on your screen, but
Oh, sure.
every time I write 4, I have to like, let me give it a new line here just to, so folks see this. Let me move this up. 4. So when that happens here, every time I write a for loop in JavaScript, I go to MDM and I'm like, how do you write a for loop? Because I always forget and I always end up with the same place. So here what I'm writing is 4 and then just writing tab auto completes the rest. And then it jumps me to 10 because it knows that's the part I need to change. And I know that it's going to be conversations dot. Is it going to be? No. Dot. Oh, I miswrote it.
I think you misspelled conversations there. Yeah.
Dot conversations dot rows. Is there just rows? That gives me the number, right?
It's dot length actually. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Say that again.
Dot length.
Dot length. Right. Okay. I knew that. I felt confident there, but then I didn't go to it.
No worries. Yeah, maybe I'll let you. Yeah, we can try and see what happens here.
Okay.
So
So
we're gonna want to send a reply to each one of these, basically. Yes.
okay, so we actually need to go to Slack. Let me kind of think of this. So we need to go to Slack. We need to find, like, send the message, find the timestamp, and let them know that we've updated their status. Is that right?
Exactly. Yep.
So here,
So let's see how much you remember.
Slack dot, is it send a message, right? Right.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, channel is going to be, I'm actually pretty worried here, but I believe we can do this. Let me, please in the
No
chat,
worries,
let me
no
know if
worries.
I'm making mistakes. Okay, body of the message is going to be your status is now, so like that, and then I could go from, oh, I need to put, sorry, before I do this, I need to put the value of the record I'm currently looking at into a variable so I can pull it up here, right? I have an array here, and if I, look, I'll just give an example. If I console log that array, console log conversations, it's just going to console log it 10 times, but whatever.
It will. Yeah, but that's fine.
That's fine. Oh, I misspelled it. Sorry about that.
I believe you've misspelled conversation. Yeah, there you go. No worries.
Okay. So it's giving me an array. Whoa. It's giving me an array, like table, and then rows. So we have row 1 with that information, row 2, right? And so essentially what I want is I want the first row I. I want row I. So this is actually, we're going to call this conversation equal to conversations row I. Is that right? Let
Rows.
conversation. Do I need to put a conversation? Yeah, let
Yeah,
conversation.
and conversations dot rows, not. I think it might. Well, yeah. Putting let in front of it is better. I think it
Okay.
technically might work if you don't, but yeah, this is better. Anyway. So you've got your conversation now, and for each one of those, we're going to make a Slack API call.
All right. Channel, back here. We want support. Is that it? Yes, support. Text is going to be your status is now, boom. And I want conversation dot. How do I pull up the Airtable? So can I just put the name of the field? Dot status?
I think if you remember from the logs, it was it had a fields field within the row.
Like
so it would be
this?
conversation.fields, and then you have your Capital S, but yeah, I think that'll actually work as well.
Okay.
Has to match the, yeah, it's case sensitive there.
Okay. And then we also need to, since we're pinging the Slack, we need to put thread TS, which is, which thread. So it's got to find this thread right here, which is this timestamp, which we have in Airtable as Slack message TS. Let me paste like this. So we need to go into thread TS. So again, boom, conversation dot fields dot, and how does it accept spaces like this?
Unfortunately, JavaScript, you have to, they don't let you do that. You'll have to use what's called it's just another way of referencing it, but you can use a square bracket there in front of fields. Remove the dot as well. Remove the dot in front of fields. Yep, there you go. And then put it in you can put it in the Slack message TS in quotes, and that'll work.
Okay, so it's like it's treating it as an array and just saying find this element in that. Okay, I understand that, kind of.
Oh, try single quotes. Sorry, single quotes.
Single quotes?
Are better. I think we're... Yep, single quotes. Yeah.
Boom. Does that make sense?
Yep, there you go.
Are we confident?
I think you're a master now. Honestly, I should be learning from you. The student has become the teacher. Oh boy.
So Jack says you need to define conversation rather than conv.row in the builder.
You could, Jack. You could use conversations.rows bracket I, and it'd be pretty similar there.
Okay. We don't need
Aaron's
to
way
define
of
the
actually
variable.
setting as a variable.
Right.
You don't have to, but I think I actually like your way of doing it. I think that's very it reads a bit nicer, right? And it's a bit easier to understand when you look at it. So
yeah,
I would say neither way is wrong. Aaron, your way is like very readable.
So, see, Jack, this is what happens. Like if you're the streamer, Jacob has to give me the props to, and my version is better. But I'm sure it'll output the same thing, and that's what matters.
Home court advantage. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think this should work. So we know it's going to error on. Whoops, let me go back here. It's going to error on a few of these in that there's no Slack message, but we know it should work on this one, right? So Zooms is buggy. That's right. Okay. Save endpoint. Are we good to go? Do you feel should I save endpoint and deploy?
I see a few things that might go wrong, but we can go ahead and try running it. I think you can hit run test event even, and it'll
okay.
You'll see what happens. We don't even have to go and wait for the minute scheduler to invoke. Yeah.
So let's see what's wrong. Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Whoa, boom.
In this case, no, actually, it's not good, but you'll see.
What do you mean?
Oh,
it worked.
I'm actually surprised that worked. Huh.
I'm also surprised. So
yeah. Wow. Well, okay. So, you were missing an await in front of that libcall, which means that we can check the stream here, and we're missing another step where we update the status change reply field after all this.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing.
You're missing an await in front of the
Where am I missing an await?
Right in front of those lib.slack.channels calls, below conversation.
Oh. Okay, boom.
Yeah.
Done.
So I think I'm not sure we've dived into this, but go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm shocked. Thank you. Like I'm shocked that it worked. Now, so the thing is, if we run it again, so if I run another test event, it's going to send the Slack message again, right? And that's because we're not updating.
Actually, no. This time, because we're actually waiting for for each individual Slack response now. And what that means is that I guess it depends on the order that Airtable is returning them in. It seems like Airtable is returning the valid one first. But yeah, basically, because some of the Slack thread TS fields are invalid, it's not going to basically, the API is not going to know which message to respond to. So I guess our two options there, we can either delete those,
These
delete
ones.
those records, or just change the status, change reply. Yeah, just the first.
Okay.
Yep. And actually the number one as well. But that has reply set to no, so I think we're okay there.
Okay. Yeah, it should be
Just
good.
because
Okay.
that was that was test data. Yeah. But anyway, so now if we run it, it should play nicely, and it'll reply again because we never updated that status.
Yeah. Boom. Comes here. It replies. So it's replied
Cool.
each
and
time.
No error, and we get a nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that kind of speaks to the next step, which is updating this the robot last replied at, right? Updating this in Airtable. So actually, I think this is another thing I think I can do now. I feel somewhat confident I can do this, but
Awesome.
I'm not sure. But let's try it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pulling for you, man. Here we go.
Oh God, what is? I would have never thought that one day the stream would be me attempting to write code. It's like automate all the things, attempt
And
to
succeeding.
write code. Okay. Await lib Airtable, and I want to update. Do I know the record ID? I do. It's in conversation, so I can loop on conversation. Okay, so I want to loop on conversation again. Wait, I'm kind of rethinking this. So I wanna,
you could.
Actually,
Yeah.
I can do it here.
I
can just do it here. I'm already looping on conversation.
Yeah.
So
you absolutely could. That's right. Yeah.
this is not planted, by the way. This is like
We're
me learning how to do this
Yeah.
while we're doing it. So lib.airtable.update by record ID. Okay. Now the table is conversations. The ID is coming from conversations.fields.id. Right? Yeah, I have that. In the field I want to update. Does that not work? Why would
you've got yeah, we can try it. Let's see what happens.
okay? That means it's not going to work.
The
but
training wheels
whatever.
are off now.
So, but this I'm going to need your
Training
help
wheels
with.
have come off.
This because I know it's bot
Okay.
replied at, but it's that weird date thing. Or could I just put new date?
Yeah, you can just put new date this time, I think. Yeah.
And I gotta put. Do I gotta put this stuff?
You do. Yes.
Just like this.
And then space after the new there.
Oh right. Okay. Okay, so this is gonna create a new date. The timestamp of like when it runs, it's gonna put it into bot replied at. You're not confident on this for some reason, but
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
let's see what
It'll
happens.
be fun.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Could not find what you were looking for, and that's
Damn.
yeah, that's you're very close though.
So wait. Let me just
think
try.
yeah.
Let me just actually console.log conversations. Oh, it's conversation, not conversations. Is that
Yeah,
it?
that's one thing then, and
That's one thing. Okay, it's good to know.
yeah.
There are other things apparently, folks. Okay.
I will-
Oh, so the query, what is this?
the query. So if you look at the difference between maybe your first Slack API call and this one, maybe you can. It is the ID field. You're right in that something's amiss there. But look at how you're using conversation.fields.
Oh shit, I missed the damn. Oh. I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
This is what
By
we've
the
been
way,
doing.
actually, you can. So the $sign curly braces. Well, you don't have to use that outside of the param editor that we just had. You can. That's fine.
Yeah?
Cool. So let's try that then. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
I'm embarrassed. But this is
No, all good, all good.
we're still not there.
Okay, so we're almost there. We're almost there. Let's try logging conversation within this loop. Just right above this API call.
Conversation. There we go. Oh, it's got to be like dot ID. The ID. Okay, I'll figure this out.
Well, yeah. So this will show us the structure.
Oh,
So you can
caps.
actually see that the ID of the record is outside the field object.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I
so we
see
want,
right here.
Yeah, there's
Oh shit.
the actual record ID is outside of the yeah. Yeah. So you just yeah, but this was actually great because you got to see kind of how debugging can work and like log statements, etc. So now if we try it, I have faith. We will.
Okay.
We'll see the log
good.
again, but that's fine. And yeah, we're golden. So let's.
Boom.
Boom.
All right.
Love it.
Okay. So let's do the full loop here. This is the deploy. Oh,
all right.
I need to save endpoint.
Yeah, 1990s.
I'm gonna.
If only we were back in the 90s.
We're not. We're not. Hey, if we were in the 90s, I would have to manually write all this authentic. I don't think way past the 90s, but like there's so many things that makes this 2020.
Fair point.
Boom. Okay, we've compiled. Okay, let's do this whole loop here. Hey, I'm having an issue with Zoom again. Okay. So this should reply to say that we're on it. Boom.
Yep.
I go into Slack. Hey, I'm having an issue. Let me go into our Kanban. This is it right here. Let me move it up. Let's say, okay, I'm moving this to in progress. Now we might have to wait a minute, right? So
that's right. Yeah. I think I was looking at the clock when you're doing this, and I think it just turned to 4:12 on my clock at least. So hopefully it might be the full 60 seconds.
okay.
But we can watch Slack and yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
So, got any good plans for the weekend? Jacob, we would, writing code.
I actually just moved into a new apartment, so I've been. No, I'm going to be doing a little IKEA run. Pick up some nice Swedish furniture or something, and yeah, it's actually my girlfriend's birthday too, so have a little surprise planned for that. Well, I guess I can spoil it out here, but we're going whale watching. Should be fun.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually shaping up to be a great weekend. I'm excited.
So I actually went whale watching not too long ago, and we saw a bunch of whales. I'll send you a video. It's pretty cool. It's actually really impressive.
Yeah.
I hope you see whales, and I hope your girlfriend doesn't watch.
I hope so too. I think. Oh, I told her about it. Maybe I shouldn't have made sure. Anyways, enough. Yeah, let's not spoil anything else. I think I see something in your Slack channel.
Boom.
What could that be? And then, boom. Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah. Now we have a fully functional little customer support wait time. You always hear people wanting the first response as quickly as possible. So, it should definitely help.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about this because it gives me a lot of ideas. We got the confetti, so that's fun. It worked. In terms of, I really think this is cool for internal workflows. Let's say you're a shipping company, or maybe not a shipping company, but like a small e-commerce, and something happens with shipping and you want to handle that issue in Slack, but kind of update somewhere else. I personally am really excited about the different things that this opens up. I'm thinking like Stripe API. I've always wanted to send invoices automatically from Airtable on a, not on a schedule, but like at the right moment. And I know you have a deep integration with Stripe. So hopefully this is the beginning of a lot of folks having fun on Autocode. So let me know in the chat if this was fun. We wanted to bring a little more code this week. Jacob, I'd love for you to drop in the chat where folks can reach you. How can they learn more around Autocode? Do you have a Slack
absolutely.
channel?
So for sure, we have a great community channel, and hello to anyone who's visiting us from there or watching from there. I also want to mention though, before I kind of drop some of that info, we have a pretty robust listing of available like kind of starter projects. So this entire project, let me backtracking a little bit. Autocode, we have these whole app directory. You can like just go look at them. You can even install them right away, get them running. This project is also available as an app. So it can be a great place to get started with if you're not super, like if you look for inspiration or you want to just like kind of see what's out there. So I've left a link there. This specific app, I think, Aaron, you put it under one of the commands, but I'll post it again.
Yeah.
That's going to be
I'm linking to it now.
Autocode.com/ Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just dropped it in the chat.
Slack conversation tracker. You can actually, it's a little bit, the code's a little bit different. Aaron actually went completely off script for the last one and managed to figure it out. We definitely, I was like, oh no, like what am I going to do? It kind of shocked me, but I'm glad we got through it. But anyway, the code's virtually the same, and you can actually, like I said, install this, link your Airtable base, link your Slack workspace, and just have the code to play around with afterwards. So anyway, I'm available on Twitter at Hakubu, same as my username, and community channel for Autocode. I'm there all the time as well. You can go to autocode.com and then community tab Slack invite. And yes, Paul Har, we have we have Webflow form submission events and the e-commerce events, and like their I believe their whole API as well. Their whole API. Yes. It's been a little while since I've worked on it, but so you can do anything with Webflow. We have an example app with sending Webflow form submissions with files to like Box and some other nice things like that. And you can see it on screen there as well. Hopefully that gives some inspiration. Tons of stuff with Airtable too. We love Airtable. Airtable's we use internally as well for a lot of processes. So tons of stuff there. Slack, of course, Stripe. And if you go to if you don't search anything there, you can see the entire list, and hopefully that can be a nice way to start. Cool. I believe Cotter is coming on in a few weeks to the stream. As well.
Cool. All right. So, Jacob, huge thanks. We pulled Zoom dropped on us, but we I think we had you as a still for most of it, but the audio was clear. So really appreciate you working through that. Huge thanks to everyone who joined. Make sure you click the follow button. That way you get notified. I'm going to be adding some live coding as well. Maybe some of that will be in Autocode. Some of that will be in Airtable. Probably Airtable for a little bit more until I feel comfortable. And if you have ideas of what you want to automate, always reach out to myself, Aron Kor, ARONKOR on Twitter. So any ideas you have, I'm always looking for things to stream. So click that follow button. You'll get an email every time I go live. That's enough YouTuber for today. Jacob, thanks again for joining. I hope to do this again. Really, I'd love to do more Autocode stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And thank you so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. See y'all soon.